Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done with that. I want to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are an online counseling service, so if you are out of the United States, if you are in a foreign country like the UK and you cannot get into a therapist and you're struggling to get mental health help, get on to BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez, and they will hook you up with an online American counselor here. All of the counselors are licensed. They are master's level or above. Or if you are in the United States here and you just want to get a different counselor, you don't like the counselors that are near you, but you don't want to have to drive to the nearest town or the nearest city, get on to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez, and they will hook you up with a licensed therapist in your state. So there that is. Thank you, BetterHelp. Okay. All right. So today's questions. What is Munchausen by proxy? Okay, so Munchausen by proxy is when abusive parents get attention for their child's illness or their child's accidents or their, something going on with their kids. So they'll kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember the movie The Sixth Sense, where the little girl was killed by her mom and her mom was getting all this attention for her constantly having these mystery illnesses, and then eventually the girl died. So that's Munchausen by proxy, where the parent makes the child sick in some way, shape, or form. And this can take different forms. It doesn't have to be a physical illness. It can be a mental illness as well. So for example, when I was working at the New Song Center, we had a woman that came in with her kids, and the kids were like, and this was like the 6th or 7th time they'd gone through the program, and the kids were like, we don't want to be here. We're not grieving the loss of this person. Our mom is. And so the mom would constantly say, oh, it's the kids, it's the kids, it's the kids, it's the kids. But, talking to the coordinators and sitting in on a few sessions, it was clear that this woman was there to get sympathy and to get attention and to get whatever. So we finally referred her out to a therapist and kind of, it's like, okay, well, there's nothing we can call DCS on, but if she tries again, this may need to be a, hey, you might want to keep an eye on this kind of thing. So what they do is they use the kids. They use the kids for attention. They use the kids to garner sympathy. They use the kids to get attention. So either by making the children sick, or by claiming that the children have got mental illnesses when they don't, or by claiming that the kids, in this case, are grieving the loss of this person when they barely knew them, and it was really the adult that was wanting the sympathy and the attention. So Munchausen by proxy is when abusive parents use the kid intentionally, making them sick, either physically or mentally, to garner attention and sympathy and things like that. So that is Munchausen by proxy. And that is abuse. That is abuse. Absolutely. I feel guilty not letting my kids be around their grandparents, but my parents are toxic. How do I stop feeling guilty? And how do I help the kids not feel guilty when guilt trips are done? So here's the deal. If your parents were abusive, if your parents are toxic, if they are toxic or are abusive, what makes you think they're going to be any different with the grandkids? So remember, abusers, especially narcissists, tend to be okay with children until they start developing their own personality. As soon as the child starts developing their own personality, oh my gosh, they want nothing to do with them because now it's a burden and they're not little mini-me's. The other thing they will do is that they will use the kids as pawns, as most abusers tend to do, and they will start turning the kids against you. So if these grandparents have been abusive to you, they are going to continue the same dysfunction with your children. Do not have them around them. So when guilt trips are given, you have to remember fear, obligation, guilt. That is the tool. That is the fog that abusers use to keep people hooked and continuing to do the same dysfunctional behavior over and over and over again. So what you want to do is you want to write out for yourself every rotten thing these people have ever done and remind yourself that you do not want to be around them, nor do your children. If the children are given guilt trips by them, do not allow the grandparents to have access to them to do that. That is manipulation. So when the grandparents, oh, I called little Johnny, and oh, little Johnny, I miss you so much, and I'm so lonely, and it's so quiet over here without you. Do you see where I'm going? That's a guilt trip. Don't allow them. Block their number. Block their number. If these people are abusive to you, and you've decided to go no contact, and you've decided not to have them around you or your family or your children, then you just block them, and you have nothing more to do with them. So you're going to feel the effects of the codependency, which is the guilt, the fear, the obligation. So I would strongly suggest that you read The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker and or Codependent No More and Beyond Codependent No More, both by Melanie Beattie, or there's another one on codependency by Pia Mellody. There's tons of really good books out there on codependency. So basically, it's saying no thank you to the guilt. So the guilty thought, oh, I should feel guilty. You should, could have, should have, would have. You should. That's mental masturbation. That's a way to make you feel bad. It's a mental mind mess. You know what I'm saying? And it's used by abusers to control. So when the coulda, shoulda, woulda pops up, oh, you should see them, and oh, how guilty you feel, and da-da-da. Stop. Thank you for playing. Thank you for your input. I am not going to have abusers in my life. Why? Because I say so. I am the boss of you. You are not the boss of me. I say so. Go play in traffic. Bye-bye. Go pound sand. Have fun. Bye-bye. That's what you're going to do. And then you're going to replace it with, I have the right to choose who is going to be in my life and my children's life. And I choose not to have abusers in either one of our lives. So yeah. And then if the kids feel guilty, don't allow them to have contact with those grandparents that are doing the guilt trips. And that's intentional. Healthy, normal people, let me just say this again, healthy, normal people do not lay guilt trips. They don't. But manipulators do, abusers do, because that's the only way they know how to control and manipulate. So you do not allow them in your children's life. Okay. Why do a lot of therapists not just not get abuse? Okay. When I was going through my program, and this was back in the mid 2000s, so 2003, 2004, there was this huge controversy with the APA, the American Psychiatric Association, about the DSM and the upcoming changes, and half of the people in charge of changing the DSM wanted to get rid of personality disorders. And I'll give you 3 guesses why they wanted to do that. And it's not because they were sane, normal people. So the other half won, which was good. And so personality disorders are still in the DSM. So a lot of therapists, programs just decided not to teach about personality disorders. Well, the problem with that is if you look statistically at any and all domestic violence, all of the perpetrators have got a personality disorder. They're all cluster Bs. So we were not taught about it. And we were told, oh, well, you need to learn it on your own. Oh, it's too controversial. Oh, it's a political hot button. We can't offend anybody. Well, I have no problem offending abusers. They can suck a bag of Richards if you want my personal opinion. So anyway, sorry. Point being is that it was not taught and glossed over, and the schools generally are there to churn people out and get their money. They're not there to really do the intense research. So if there is an area of interest as a therapist, you need to go do your own research. So I'm talking to all of the potential therapists out there. If there is something that interests you and your school does not go in depth on it, you're going to have to go learn it on your own. You're going to have to go teach yourself. You're going to have to go find the teachers, find the mentors, find the studies, find the books, find the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and learn about it. That is what I had to do. So coming out of the school, I immediately started working in the homeless shelter, and boy, cluster Bs like nobody's business. I mean, there were so many disorders. I mean, I saw Everything. It was a great experience. I really loved it. Dangerous as heck. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I loved it. But it's like I had to learn all of these different, I had to become an expert in schizophrenia. It's like, okay, well, what are the signs? What are the symptoms? Okay, this is what I need to look for. This is what I need to do. This is how we deal with them. This is how we de-escalate, cluster Bs, cluster As, cluster Cs, had to learn all about that, and you just go train yourself. They don't teach it in the schools, and they should. And they don't go in depth to it either. And I don't know who the heck they're afraid of offending, but I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid to offend abusers. I'm not, because they are the problem. They are the ones that are abusing. The cluster Bs are the ones that are abusing. The narcissists, the malignant borderlines are the ones that generally are your abusers. So malignant, guys, malignant. Now remember, everything is on a spectrum. So down here at the lower end, there's like traits of little haughty, little this, little that. Borderline, okay, signs of trauma, that can be worked with. When they start sliding down the spectrum and they start actively hurting other people, stick a fork in them, they're done. They don't get better. They just keep sliding down the spectrum into the dark triad, into malignancy, etc. So yeah, that's why not a lot of therapists, plus the fact it's an uncomfortable topic. Not very many therapists are willing or able to dive into domestic violence, to dive into what happens to survivors of abuse. It's uncomfortable. And so it's not taught, or at least it wasn't when I was going through school. And this was pretty much universal. So there was a whole generation of therapists that got churned out that didn't know about domestic violence, that didn't understand cluster Bs, that didn't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I am hoping that has since changed. Don't know if it has, but yeah, if there is an area of interest and you are a potential therapist and you want to understand more, you're going to have to do your own learning, own teaching. You're going to have to teach yourself. You're going to have to learn it on your own. Therapy programs are only 2 years long, generally, the master's programs. So that's not enough time really to cover in depth really anything. You get a taste of this, a taste of that, a taste of this, a taste of that. You learn this, you learn that. Okay, and then when you get out on your own, this is why CEUs are so important, continuing education units. So, and I'm writing about that in my next book. So, yeah, so that's why a lot of them don't get abuse. And that's why you need to interview them like nobody's business. What is your training? What do you know about trauma? What do you know about domestic violence? What do you know about cluster Bs? Do you understand narcissistic survivor syndrome? It should be a thing, narcissistic survivor syndrome, because it's just like the abusers have a playbook, the survivors all do the same thing as well in their recovery. So, yeah, it really should be. So yeah, that's why a lot of therapists don't get it, because they don't do their own investigating. It's an uncomfortable topic. They don't want to deal with it. And then, of course, you get the humanist therapists, which I have zero respect for, that are like, oh, we don't want to label anybody. Well, what is healing to the target of abuse but being able to say, this happened to me. This is what this person did. This is who this person is. Labeling, it helps. Now, if you're labeling people to harm them, that's different. But if you're just calling it out for what it is, then that is healing to the target of abuse, because then the target of abuse has something they can wrap their heads around and that they can solidly grab onto and go, oh my gosh, this is why this happened. This is who this person is. Oh my gosh, these types of people do the same thing everywhere around the world, no matter what language they speak, what culture they come from. Holy cow, it's not me, it's them. And that is healing, and that is helpful. So, yeah, that's why a lot of therapy programs are not good, because they do the humanist approach, and I think that's a disservice to targets of abuse. I'm calling them out. Yeah, you'll need to find a therapist that knows what they're talking about and has done their research, and that's why it's important to interview the therapist as much as the therapist interviews you. So, okay, could you go over again panic attacks and how to stop them? I feel like I'm dying and having a heart attack. That is normal to feel like you're dying and having a heart attack, because it does feel that way. So, okay. When we are having a panic attack, so this is your amygdala, left side, right side. This is the amygdala. The amygdala sits about an inch inside of each ear. This is our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn center. Problem with this little guy is he is 3-0 stupid. Stupid. Cannot tell the difference between past trauma, present trauma, future trauma, a threat, a real threat, an imagined threat, daydreaming about a threat, an emotional threat, real or imagined. Cannot tell the difference. So everything to the poor little amygdala is here now, here now, here now, here now. And so the amygdala freaks out when a threat comes in. Reminds us of the trauma, a trigger. A trigger hits the amygdala, a thought hits the amygdala, a smell, a sound, a sight, a hear. I just did it backwards. A sight, a sound, a smell, a taste, you know. Hearing something, seeing something, same phraseology. All of those can be triggers. I talked about trauma responses last week. So anything that's a trauma response triggers the amygdala to go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So when this little guy gets activated, can't tell the difference is if it's real or imagined, if it's past, present, future, can't tell the difference. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, we're in danger, we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die. Tells the hippocampus, hypothalamus to release cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone, so that causes us to start tensing up because we're getting ready to fight, flight, run away, freeze so that the predator doesn't see us and just goes on by, or fawn, give into the predator so that they don't kill us. So, okay, this guy releases the cortisol. Now we're tense, right? So now we start taking these puffy little breaths that don't go anywhere. Our heart is pounding out of our chest. We got racing thoughts, racing thoughts, racing thoughts. So because of the CO2 oxygen wonkiness, it's not the normal exchange, okay? The brain, a lower part of our brainstem, the little more reptilian part goes, oh, crap, we're going to die. There's no oxygen CO2. What the hell? Release all of the adrenaline. So the adrenal gland that sits on top of the kidney goes, releases all of the adrenaline, and now, shaking like a leaf, pounding heart, pounding heart, pounding heart, puffy little breaths, racing thoughts, racing thoughts, racing thoughts. And at this point, we either go into your stereotypical, oh my gosh, I can't, and I'm gonna, and then you keel over, or we go into a rage attack and we turn into the Incredible Hulk. So, the best way, and it feels like a heart attack, it does, because your heart is pounding so fast, and your thoughts are racing, and you're taking puffy little breaths, and you're getting lightheaded, and, you know, it does. It feels like you're going to die. So the best thing to do is as soon as you recognize you are going into a panic attack, what is your first sign? For some people, it's when they flush. It's like the whoosh, that flush, you know, because your body's starting to get overheated, getting ready to run, fight, freeze, fawn, right? So as soon as you recognize your first physical symptom, that is your clue to breathe and to do slow, deep breaths. So as soon as you flush, deep breath, hold it, let it out as slowly as you can. And as you do that, you're going to say, I'm safe, I'm okay, I don't need to run, I don't need to freeze, I don't need to fight, I don't need to flee, I don't need to fawn, everything's good. I'm safe, I'm okay, everything's fine. And then it takes about 5 or 10 minutes for the adrenal gland stuff to flood out of the system. Because adrenaline is meant as a short-term energy boost to get us the heck out of there. That's why we dump adrenaline into the system, is when we perceive a threat, the body goes, get out, get out, get out, and it dumps all of this adrenaline into the system. So, okay, some people can't catch their panic attacks until they're already in the phase. That's, hello, that's me. So when that happens, again, as soon as I realize, oh, I'm hyperventilating. Oh, I'm having a panic attack. Oh, crap. You know, then I'll just hold my breath and self-soothe, 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 and, you know, do it again until the system calms down. Now, one of the things you can do if your brain starts going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a heart attack, stand up. Put your hands over your head. If you are having a heart attack, you will not be able to do that because the heart will be unable to actually pump enough blood to be able to stand up or put your arms over your head. So that's one way to calm down that jabber thing. So I had one client at the homeless shelter, actually, that was hypochondriac, terrified of dying, and would have panic attack. I'm dying, call the ambulance, put your hands over your head. And she'd put her hands over her head and she'd be like, oh. And I'm like, you're fine, breathe. It's okay. You're safe. Everything's okay. You're all right. It's all good. You know, and just kind of calm her down. So yeah, you just raise your hands or stand up. If you're having a heart attack, you're generally not going to be able to do that. Okay, I hope that answers the question. Does the truth always come out? Really? Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of us as survivors would dearly love to live to see the karma come and hit them in the behind. Okay, you know what? Not our job. Not our job. Does the truth come out? Yeah, eventually it does, and it does not do it on our time frame. So our time frame would be like, now, let's expose them for what they are. Generally with abusers, their mask slips. It's like they may go get another supply. They may be temporarily successful, but eventually their nastiness comes flying out. Like undeniably can't stop it. Thinking of some Hollywood directors recently that really turned out to not be good people. I think you know who I'm talking about. The mask slips and they're unable to continue the facade of the nice guy or the nice girl. And now realize flying monkeys are always going to defend them, but flying monkeys are either just ignorant, they don't understand abuse, or they are minor narcissists themselves, in which case, bye-bye, go play in traffic, bye-bye, have a nice life, bye-bye, go pound sand, bye-bye. See where I'm going with that? So, yeah, the truth does come out eventually. It doesn't come out quickly enough, but eventually the nastiness just floods out when somebody rages at somebody else, when somebody screams at somebody else, when somebody else wants a confrontation. Yeah, other people are starting to notice, oh, damn, that person's not sane, because healthy, normal people don't do that. So yeah, it does come out, but it does take time. And the best revenge for you, go live a good life. Work on you, love you, like you. Go have amazing adventures. The best revenge is living well. Seriously, it's like, because narcissists can't stand it when their target of abuse does well. They also can't stand it. You're not letting them live rent-free in your head anymore. And it's like, clearly you're doing well. So yeah, go live your life. And yeah, they implode. Eventually, all of them, at some point, implode. Not fast enough for some of us, but yeah, they do. They implode. So, and it's really kind of a matter of, does it matter? Does it really matter? If you know who they are, if they have shown you who they are, if the flying monkeys have shown you who they are, then be rid of them. Go live your life. Get out of the drama. You don't need the drama. It's like when you get out of the abuse, and especially if you were raised in it, there's so much drama, so much drama, so much drama. And so we're so used to the drama, and we really have to start getting used to the calm. And because abusers can't stand calm. They cannot. That's why they're constantly stirring the pot, because when it gets calm, they're left with their own negative, nasty, vicious thoughts, and they can't direct them onto anybody. So they desperately need drama. So yeah, the truth does always come out. Not on our time schedule. It's on the universe's time schedule. And your best shot at seeing the truth come out is you go work on you, you be happy, and you evict them from your head, and you just go live your life and be amazing. Yep. And eventually the truth will come out. Absolutely. Can you explain the difference between self-esteem versus narcissism? Okay. Self-esteem is just this tiny little voice in your head going, I like you. Hey, good job. Hey, you look good today. Hey, I really like this, that, or the other thing about you. Hey, this is good. Hey, this is... Self-esteem is just happy, positive little thoughts about yourself. I like you. Good job. Keep going. Oops, you screwed up. Okay, make amends. Okay, good, you did. Okay, forgive yourself. Good, you did. Okay, move on. So it's kind, it's gentle, it's wonderful, and it's just tiny little thoughts that are healthy, happy, and whole. Narcissism, on the other hand, narcissists do not have self-esteem. They have other esteem, meaning they constant need for admiration, constantly need to be told that they are good and that they are amazing and they're beautiful or handsome or this or that or the other thing. That's other esteem. And they are constantly screaming to the world, tell me how great I am. Tell me how great I am. I'm so great. Tell me how great I am. Constantly. Healthy, normal people don't need to do that. A lion does not need to announce that they're a lion. They don't need to roar, hey, I'm a lion. It's like, oh, that's a lion. you know? Whereas narcissists are constantly going, look at me, I'm a lion, goddammit, I'm a lion, I'm a lion, I'm a lion, you know? And it's like, yeah, no, you're not. You know, you think you are, but you're not, because a lion doesn't need to announce itself. So it's that needing to announce themselves. It's the same thing that I said about communal narcissists. So when a communal narcissist, you know, tells somebody, oh, I'm so woke, I'm just like, no, you're not. If you need to tell people you're woke, you ain't. You know what I'm saying? And or, oh, I have all the answers. No, you don't. Ain't nobody on this planet got all the answers. If we did, we would not be here. You know? I mean, it's just amazing to me. So narcissists are constantly tooting their own horn. Okay. Self-esteem is tooting your own horn, but genuinely. Like, hey, good job. Hey, I like you. Hey, you look good. Hey, you know, just little things. And it's not demanding other esteem. It's not asking for other people to constantly validate them. And it's not demanding that you tell the world how fabulous you are. It's just telling you how fabulous you are. And that is okay. So there is that. I feel so angry at my ex. Yeah, you're going to. How do I cope with it? So anger is not a pure emotion. All of the other emotions are pure. Love is love, lust is lust, happy is happy, sad is sad. Anger is part of the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So remember, when we have those first symptoms of a panic attack, we either go into a panic attack or we go into a rage attack. A rage attack is a way to keep ourselves safe, because if we're, you know, people are going to back off, you know. So anger just lets us know where we have been hurt. So when you get angry, the first question you have to ask yourself is, where's the threat? Where did I get hurt, or how am I about to get hurt? So where is the fear? Where is the fear? It is driven by fear, the fear of being hurt. So yes, we have been hurt by these people. So write and burn an angry letter. Dear X, bleep the bleepity bleep bleep out of bleeping bleep you. You did this. You list out every rotten thing they ever did to you. Then at the end, you let them have it with both barrels. You know, you say everything you wanted to but couldn't, or everything you did say and they didn't hear. You know, you just let it all out. And then at the very, very end, you know what? Mother clucker, I'm raising the rent. You don't get to live in my head rent-free one more second. I am evicting you. Bye-bye. Go pound sand. And then you trot it out to the barbecue. Read it out loud once. Burn it. Let the words go wherever it needs to go. Let it be done. The other thing you can do is you can write the letter and send it back to yourself. Do not, listen to me now, believe me later, do not send it to your abuser. Do not. I can't tell you the number of times I have warned people on this and they're like, oh, but it'll feel so much better. I'm like, no, it won't. And all you're going to do is open the door for them to start contacting you again. Again, that's exactly what happens. And then they're like, oh, you were right. I'm like, yes, I was. Listen to me when I tell you these things. Do not send these letters to your abuser. It will not make a hail of beans difference to them. They're not going to get it. Not your job to enlighten them. So not your job. That's their problem. So for you, you write, you burn, you let it go. And if there's anything left, that's what needs to be worked through, probably with a counselor. So yeah, so that's how you deal with the anger. The other thing you can do is that some people are more physical with their anger. So like for me, punching bag, love punching bags. It's so funny. Jess is like, you really like that punching bag a lot, don't you? And I'm like, oh yes, I do. So yeah, because it's a great way to get your anger out. So if you're more physical, then do that. If you're more cerebral, you do that. You write it out, you know, sing it out, paint it out, get creative with it, you know. Do what you need to get it out so it's not chewing you up alive. Because the amygdala, again, does not understand the difference between doing something with it, such as writing it out, singing it out, painting it out, you know, boxing it out, and having actually talked to the person. That's how dumb the amygdala is. So yeah, so that's what you can do to cope with the anger. And anger is actually our friend. And it's so funny because if we'd been raised by abusers, they will often tell us, oh, you can't be angry at me. I'll give you something to be angry about. Anger is a futile emotion. Don't you be angry. Oh, yes, screw you. Ooh, listen to me. Anger guides us. Anger is a good emotion. All of the emotions are good emotions. It's what we do with them that make them helpful or hurtful. And of course, the abuser can't handle emotions at all, especially somebody else's emotion. They can have all the anger in the world they want, but God forbid any of us actually had a real response to their abuse. So anger is not a bad emotion. It's okay to be angry, but don't take it out on anybody. Figure out where the fear is Journal it out, create it out, sing it out, paint it out, do what you need to get it dispersed, to process it. So, yep, there it is. Anger's not a bad emotion, but it is important to work it through. What are you angry about? Oh, they did this, and this. Okay. Why do abusers hate it when anybody else but them has emotions? Well, that's a good question. So they don't have emotions. They don't. Not the way you and I understand them. So for them, their ego is stuck at about age 2, and it is, I'm going to have to hurry up here. And so only their emotions are okay. They don't want to have to deal with anybody else's emotions because that's messy, and they would have to take personal responsibility for whatever they said or did. And so they don't like other people having emotions because it's not about them. It's about the person who's having the emotion, and a narcissist cannot handle that. How do I handle nightmares and sleep paralysis? I'm actually going to talk about that not this Sunday. This Sunday I want to talk about enmeshment, but the Sunday after I want to talk about nightmares, sleep paralysis, night terrors, etc., etc. So I will answer that question in 2 weeks. So there that is. How do I make healthy friends? You work on yourself. So first and foremost, you need to understand what your boundaries are. You need to know what your deal breakers are. You need to clean out your friend closet. Get rid of all the people who are toxic. And once you do that, then you start working on, what do I want in a friend? You know, what is a real friendship? And I've talked about that in other videos. So basically, good self-esteem, good boundaries, and eventually the toxic people start falling away on their own because you recognize the behavior and you're like, ooh, that's a red flag. Ooh, this person's really selfish. Ooh, this person is freaking toxic. What the? You know, and they start kind of falling away. And then you do start attracting healthier people. The healthier you get, the healthier your friends are. So, all right. I hope that answered all the questions. You guys have a great week. So this Sunday, I am going to be talking about enmeshment, both with a romantic partner that's an abuser and with mom and dad who are abusers, or in-laws, or whatever. We're going to talk about boundaries. So enmeshment and boundaries, and why we have to have boundaries so that we don't get enmeshed. So anyway, thank you again to BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez, which I will have down in the description. So I'm just thrilled that people are getting help through them. That is awesome. And I've heard some really great things. So thank you, thank you, thank you. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. You guys have a great week, and I will talk to you on Sunday. Bye.